Canada's a great place to live. Our country has good universities, good healthcare, and great people. The UN ranks Canada as one of the best places to live in the world. And Canadians are generous, one of the most active people for volunteerism and charitable giving. Our international reputation is pretty good, too. It's not uncommon for globe-trotting backpackers to sew our flag on their packs, so people will think they're Canadians. We're a wealthy country, and Canadians contribute to international development through charitable and non-profit organizations and through Canada's Department of Foreign Affairs, Trade and Development. These organizations support all kinds of projects, from providing clean water, increasing food security, education, women's and children's health initiatives, loads of different aspects of development. There's lots we do well, but there's some things we don't do well. And we need to make sure our voices are heard when we ask the question, can we do better? To understand Canada's role in international development firsthand, 5 Canadian youth traveled to Nicaragua. They'd see Canadian development projects there and also understand how Canadian activities affect the lives of Nicaraguans. These youth will return to Canada and share their international experience with hundreds of other young people. They traveled to a remote part of Nicaragua, the village of San Andreas in the Bosawás Biosphere Reserve. One of their guides, Tony Zelaya, is a local youth leader who was born in Bosawás. Tony's university education is sponsored by a Canadian organization. The team visited several families and began to understand how hard life can be in San Andreas. Some of the children they met showed signs of malnutrition and parasites. The difference between how most people live in Canada and how people here struggle was profoundly evident. Change for Children, an Alberta organization working in partnership with the Canadian government, is building schools here and providing other development assistance. Change for Children helps people to build new stoves for their kitchens. The new eco-stoves are more efficient than traditional stoves, so they use less firewood, which saves money and reduces deforestation. The eco-stoves burn cleaner too, reducing indoor smoke, which is a major cause of respiratory failure in little kids. It's a great example of how international development can work. The youth traveled a few kilometers upriver to see the impact of climate change on Tony's family.
I grew up here, so that's why I love it here. I love my family. I love what I have here. You know, this is where I'm coming from. I spent almost all the year in Managua because I have to study. I have to go to school there in Managua. But of course, I don't feel that I'm abandoning my family because I know that I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna be with them, so.
Tony explained that this remote region is one of the poorest in Nicaragua. His family used to grow enough food to live on, but changes in the climate have made their harvests less predictable.
We had specific time, we had specific date where we're gonna grow or cultivate then harvest, but it's not the same anymore. Our crop was not very good. It was very hard for my dad to find a way to feed us.
The group toured a small cocoa plantation with agronomist Juan Francisco Barquero.
Que la están ajustando bastante, se está probando para la cuestión esto del cambio climático. Porque los rendimientos han decaído bastante en un 10% en la zona. En gran parte las precipitaciones han cambiado su ritmo de caída de agua. Y entonces no hay como así decir, en mayo siembro frijoles y voy a cosechar el 100%. No es así porque o se viene mucha agua o se para el agua y echa a perder todos los cultivos.
El clima de lluvias se ha aumentado bastantísimo, muy bastante la lluvia. Porque al arrancar la lluvia en junio, todo julio, pura lluvias. Si hay solo de lluvias, vamos seguros también a la pérdida.
Here's some things Canadians should know about climate change. Nicaragua has one of the highest risks of climate change impacts in the world, and Canada one of the lowest risks. Canadians are about 0.5% of the world's population, but we contribute 2% of global greenhouse gases. And our national response to climate change isn't good. We're one of the worst countries in the world for creating effective climate change policy, way behind so many other countries. The experience in Boswas showed everyone that Canadians need to consider how our actions at home can affect people in other parts of the world. The question we need to ask is, can Canada do better? And if we can, why wouldn't we? The plan was to visit a small community near a Canadian-owned gold mine. Locals say the mine's tailings pond, a huge kind of lake that holds contaminated mine water, has poisoned their water supply. But the local hosts said it wouldn't be safe to visit. Mining protests, here and in other regions, have been put down by police using tear gas and rubber bullets.
La empresa no se responsabiliza nada. Ellos solo lo que vienen es cierto que al gobierno le pagan una concesión, pero esa concesión va al gobierno y los perjudicados somos el pueblo.
Yo vivo al otro lado de allí, de esa pila. Las aguas están contaminadas. No pudimos hacer nada por esa presa. Y ya las aguas toditas están contaminadas, los pozos. Estamos enfermos. Y esta gente no pretende pues ayudarle a uno en nada, aunque ellos vendan el oro caro.
The team learned more about mining in Nicaragua, and specifically about Canadian mining in Nicaragua. Pedro Lopez works with communities affected by mining.
Una situación muy terrible, porque cómo vas a construir una presa de cola donde vas a depositar los desperdicios del lavado del oro, el cianuro. Todos esos desperdicios van filtrándose a los acuíferos y tenemos no solo 7 acuíferos debajo de la presa de cola, sino que pueden existir más acuíferos que esos por debajo de la tierra se expanden a muchas comunidades.
Somewhere between 50 and 70% of mining activity in Latin America is Canadian, and speaking out against the mines can be dangerous.
La empresa minera como tal rara vez se ha sujetado a las normativas técnicas que tenemos aquí sobre vertido.
Fearful of imprisonment, this man would only speak with us if his identity was concealed.
Dice el pueblo canadiense, yo creo que debe abrir los ojos también, porque mientras allá se disfruta a otros niveles este desarrollo, ansiado desarrollo, que estos países, los países en vías de desarrollo o empobrecidos totalmente como el nuestro, pero mientras allá hay un disfrute distinto de los niveles de desarrollo, acá quienes estamos aportando a ese desarrollo nos estamos muriendo.
The journey through Nicaragua certainly was an eye-opener. Canadians consider fair play part of our national identity. Canadians are supposed to be the good guys, and that's why people stick our flag on their packs. Not an American flag, not an English flag, a Canadian flag. The youth group were proud of the work that Change for Children and other Canadian organizations were doing in Nicaragua. But they also learned there's some very un-Canadian activity going on here. Do Canadians really think this is okay? After doing some research into Canadian mining practices and Canada's contributions to climate change, the team looked at how they can make Canada better. And they found out it's not rocket science. No matter how you think Canada can do better, there are 3 things you can start doing. You need to learn about what's going on, you need to share your ideas, and you need to act to make your views heard. Learn more about Canada's role internationally, and learn more about whatever issue you think needs to be addressed. Share your knowledge and views on issues and your ideas for action. Share them with your friends, your school, your family, and other concerned Canadians. Take action on the issues you care about. This is the most important step because all the learning and sharing in the world won't make much difference unless you take action. Canadians have a long history of fair play, respect for human rights, and international development. But there are things Canada and Canadians are doing in other parts of the world that are remarkably un-Canadian. It's time to change this and make sure Canada's international reputation is protected. Canada can do better, and you can help that happen.